Thanks for joining me on episode 428 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Matt Woodrum, podcaster and father in training. I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talents, and your treasures, having the calling to face your demons and struggle to become a great father for your children. And one way to be inspired to do this is to listen to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend Scott Maynard.
And the attitude we have about those things when they go wrong is more important than the fact that they went wrong or went right. The attitude that we have when things go right is more important than whether or not they went right or went wrong. Because that attitude is what determines whether you pick up and do it again tomorrow, whether you keep moving forward, or whether you just give up. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about developing your influence by stewarding your time, I talk with you about why results are important, but why results are also not important, and what's more important than results when it comes to your time. As we talk about stewarding your time, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without just taking too long? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show just that quick. If you enjoy the show when you are ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. The thing about time is all too often what we look at is simply what happens because of how we use our time. We look at the results. And what happens a lot of times is we end up beating ourselves up because of those results. We set goals, we make a list, we have 40 things that we want to do today, and we don't get hardly any of them done. And we go home and we feel like we've completely wasted the day. We've gotten nothing done that we wanted to get done. It's just been a failure all around. And we'll do this day in and day out, week after week. Maybe it's not making lists. Maybe it's not having things that you're not getting done. But maybe instead it's that you get a whole bunch of things done. But when you look at what you actually got done, it's really not the important things. It's not the things that you thought you should have gotten done. It's not the things that connect to your heart and your soul and who you really are deep inside. And you know, the results that we get with our time are important. If we go through life and we never have any forward motion, we never get anything done, then we really don't make it an impact. We really don't develop our influence. We really don't spread out our message into others. We don't make a connection. We don't build a relationship with others. The results that we have often determine our relationships, our growth. They determine the things that we really want to do and actually have an impact on others and develop our influence with others and help them do the things that they're called to do. So results are certainly important when it comes to our time. But at the same time, results really aren't that important. You know, there are times when you set your list and you've got everything written down that you want to do, but then something comes up. Someone comes in and they need your help. Something comes up that is about the relationships around you, and your list gets put to the side. Not because the results of that list aren't important, but because the results of the relationship are more important. The results that we have really don't make up who we are. What we do is not who we are. What we do is important. What we do has meaning. But what we do isn't who we are at our core. It's not our being. It's not our self. And our results certainly are not a measure of if we're a good person or a bad person. They are a measure of what we do. They're certainly something that people look at, and people look at your results and think about your intent. They think about your character. They think about who you are and what you represent. So results do matter, but really and truly, the relationships matter more. The connection with others matters more. So one of the things that really is important about the results when it comes to your time is what's the intent behind it? What's the message behind it? What's the reason behind it? And if that reason is building relationship with others and showing them love and kindness and serving them, then it's probably a good result, even if it wasn't the result you necessarily wanted. And the attitude that we have about our results is important too. Bad things happen to us. Things derail our day. Things go wrong. And the attitude we have about those things when they go wrong is more important than the fact that they went wrong or went right. The attitude that we have when things go right is more important than whether or not they went right or went wrong. Because that attitude is what determines whether you pick up and do it again tomorrow, whether you keep moving forward, or whether you just give up and go backwards and sit in one place and don't develop your influence and don't make an impact on others and don't build a relationship with others. The truth is that the results are important, but your attitude about those results is even more important. See, our attitude determines the real benefit of the results. Practically, one of the things that we do all too often is we put way too many things as demands on our time. We look at our time and we say, we're going to get all of this done. And there's literally hundreds of things on our list, and there aren't enough hours in the day to do it all. No human being could do it all. You put so much on your plate that you can't help but fail. And then you begin to get frustrated with that failure, and you're mad at yourself and you're disappointed in yourself. And that brings your attitude down, which makes you less productive. One of the simplest things you can do to increase your productivity, believe it or not, is actually begin to say no to things. Begin to carve some things off your plate. Begin to turn down some opportunities. Say no to something instead of yes to everything. Say yes to those things that are the most important, the things that connect deepest to who you are in your heart and soul, and that connect and serve others as best you can. And when you do those things, then those results become magnified, and they matter because the results build relationships. Those relationships develop influence, and it feeds back into your heart and soul and rewards you for what you've done. And you do that by saying no to those things that don't connect to you on the deepest level. That's why it's so important that you recognize that the results aren't the only thing that matters. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of time, be sure to sign up for our Stewardship of Time Tips series by going to inspiredstewardship.com/time or texting 44222 time tips and that'll get you our best tips on stewarding your time. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.